Kim Mitchell is going to offer our invocation today.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us today. We thank you for the blood you shed on the cross and your grace that you freely give us, which makes us worthy of the blessings you continue to bestow upon us. Thank you for this room full of Rotarians with huge servant hearts who willingly go out into their communities and serve others. We ask that you bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies and our bodies to your service. Please bless the many hands that prepared our food and continue to bless us so that we can be a blessing to others. In the precious and powerful name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kim. You may be seated. Doug Cochran is going to do fellowship for us today and introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests. And as he's on his way up here, I just want to remind everybody about the park bucket sitting on your table. Please give generously to the park fund.
Thank you, President Stephen. Good afternoon, everyone. What a beautiful day, huh? We have two visiting Rotarians with us. First, we have Emerson Smith from 5 Points Rotary Club. Emerson, welcome. We also have James Smith from the Irmo Lake Murray Rotary Club. Has James made it in yet? James here yet? He'll be here momentarily. Those were our two visiting Rotarians. We have a number of guests. If their sponsors could stand with them, please, and we'll have you introduce them.
I'm Lynn Lumpkin. I'm so happy to have my great friend, Lynn Brandon Kenyon, who is the head of business development for the company VC3. But what I want to tell you is she laid the foundation for our ballet years ago, and God Smith Dre is our lead sponsor. They're still our lead sponsor, so we owe her more than I can ever say. Welcome, Lynn.
Hi, I'm happy to introduce Judy Van Patten with Experience Columbia, and she's the Partnership Services Manager.
Joe Myers. Joe is our intern at AARP. Joe comes to us as a graduate of Ohio State. He spent 6 years in the Air Force, 2 years in medical school, and just completed his master's degree in communications at USC.
Good afternoon, I'm Carrie Powers, and with me today I'm delighted to have Rebecca Hines with me. She's the new Executive Director of the Chapin Chamber, so please welcome her.
Hi, I'm Adam Jordan. My guest today is Craig Parks. Craig is a longtime friend of mine, and he's also the Director of Government Relations for the University of South Carolina.
And I would like to introduce a guest of the club, Richard Pollard. Richard is standing in the back here, and he is with Keller Williams, serves as a real estate agent with them. Welcome, Richard.
Welcome, everyone, and our guests. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Don't forget me. I have several guests, and it is my privilege and honor to introduce you all today. First, standing here on the podium with me is Brigadier General Milford. And he so graciously has brought some wonderful people with him today that I'd like you all to welcome. First of all, his wife Pamela. Pamela, would you stand? And secondly, the table behind you. Anne, would you stand with the guests there, please? And I really would like someone to take the mic over, and each of them will introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sarah Quintanilla. I am the driver for General Beagle.
Hi, I'm Andy Ainsley. I'm the aide to General Beagle.
I'm Ann Byram. I'm General Beagle's executive assistant.
Thank you, Doug. Welcome to all of our visiting Rotarians and guests. We've got a good crowd today. I'd like to invite up Past President Andrew Clarkson. Several months ago, I told you a little bit about some Rotary information moments that we would be doing throughout the year. This is the second one, and Andrew's going to tell you a little bit about Rotary.
Thank you, President Steve. So, as my Rotary information moment, we're talking about membership, specifically attendance, and there's some numbers in here, so I'm going to read this, and so please forgive me, but I want to make sure you get it, that I give it to you correctly. So Rotary has softened its membership requirements and putting more emphasis on participation, but there are still attendance members minimums that y'all need to know about. And so basically, Rotary meeting attendance requirements, a member needs to achieve a minimum of 50% attendance. 30% of that attendance must be at your home club. That's basically, give or take, 16 meetings a year to maintain your 30% minimum. There are a number of ways to make up meetings. You can make up, obviously, at other clubs, and I would encourage you to do that. That's a lot of fun. If you haven't done that, you should. There's some 14 or 15 clubs in the area, and get out, see what the other clubs are doing. They're doing other things, and you may find something that is applicable here, and you guys can bring back and talk to Stephen or Louisa and get them engaged in helping the community in some other efforts. So if you do make up at another club, it's important for you to let Debbie know, or Melinda McCuskey. See, she's Melinda to me. I don't keep up with that. But let Melinda know, who is also our board secretary. Is that right, Melinda? Melinda, stand up and tell everybody what you do. You help Debbie. Okay, good. So we need to let the club know if you make up, because you're going to get basically a meal credit on your bill, and I think that's important to do. Now, there's a stipulation. You also can make up online, but you will not get a meal credit. You do get credit for the makeup, but you don't get a meal credit for that. One last little bit to update you guys with, and you may have heard of it before. There's something called the Rule of 85. The Rule of 85 is a modification on our attendance requirements. If you have an aggregate of your age plus the years in Rotary, then you would qualify for the, and if that number adds up to 85, you qualify, and you no longer have attendance requirement. You're still encouraged to participate, but the attendance requirement goes away. So let me give you an example. I am 58. I have been a member for 20 years. 78. I do not qualify for the Rule of 85. See how it goes? All right. That's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a big club. Rotary's a big organization. There's a lot going on, and it's nice to have those reminders from time to time. I'd like to invite Perry Orth up to offer our health and happiness today. Where's Perry? He's supposed to be up here at the table. There he is. Here he comes. He told me he had some good jokes for us today, so we'll see about that.
Hey everybody, how's everyone doing today? Good, yeah. All right. So my name's Perry Orth. I've been now back in the Columbia area for about a year and a half. When I graduated, went to work at Fluor in Greenville for about 10 months, and then went to and then moved back here working for an insurance management group doing commercial insurance. But today I got the health and happiness, and we'll start with that. And for the most part, everybody seemed healthy and happy. The weather's good, so that's always a blessing, especially considering the cold streak that we had last week. I want everyone to put Mr. Tyler West on your prayer list, going through an illness. Charlene Rhodes, that's his son. Just anytime you have a family member that's going through stuff, you know, sometimes you get caught up not paying attention, and you lose track. But when it's your own personal family, it really hits home with you. So if you could take some time, just say a quick prayer for him. I think that'd be great and mean a lot to that family. And excuse me, as we all know, the Super Bowl was last night. I would go ahead and say that everybody was pretty disappointed with everything about it, whether it was the game, whether it was the commercials. All the guys didn't like the halftime show because, you know, their wives were looking at that guy with his shirt off, and everyone's like, ah, that guy sucks, you know, put your damn shirt on. Yeah, it was pretty lame, you know, as a football fan, former quarterback. I will say this, though. It is impressive watching Tom Brady play the game. Not only does he play it the right way, but, you know, as anybody who wants to succeed in life, watching people like him sustain that type of greatness over the course of his career is pretty remarkable. And I think that it's something that we can all take every day in our own lives, you know, watching somebody wake up every single day with a passion to do better, you know, at what he does, you know, from the time he was a rookie or, you know, his first, second year whenever he took over in New England to now, the level of just commitment and greatness that he has, it's remarkable. If you guys haven't, I don't know how many people in here have a Facebook, but Facebook did a really neat documentary on him last year. They called it Tom vs. Time. And it just basically, it's 5 episodes long, each one's maybe 20 minutes, and came out over a 5-week span. It just kind of highlights his life and what he did. You know, what he does during the off season, from in season, his preparation, to off season. I mean, on his vacations, he takes 3 hours a day to train and throw and work, and it just, you know, somebody that used to be a quarterback and then now moving into the next phase of my life and my career, just to be able to sustain and push yourself to that mentality is pretty remarkable. I just wanted to bring that to our attention because there's really nothing else I could share about that game because it was pretty brutal. But there's a fellow that I work with, and, you know, I tell him that I do health and happiness every once in a while. His name is Jim Ingram. I don't know if you guys know Jim, anyone in here. He works, he rents office space with our office, and he's a trip. And so I told him I was doing health and happiness, and he printed off some jokes for me that I wanted to share today. They're not really jokes, they're more of just questions just to think about, right? So the first one I'll say is, can you cry underwater? Is that something that just to ponder on a little today? They're going to be lame, so just bear with me. It says, how important does a person have to be before they are considered assassinated instead of just murdered? Just think about that. I'm going to skip that one out because it's really lame. If Jimmy cracks corn and no one cares, why is there a song about him? If corn oil is made from corn and vegetable oil is made from vegetables, what is baby oil made from? I don't know. I don't think any of us want to figure that out either. Why do we press harder on the remote control button when we know the batteries are dead? Oh, I like this one. Why does someone believe you when you say there are 4 billion stars, but check when they say the paint is wet? If people evolved from apes, why are there still apes? Just a little food for thought today. And then I'm going to end with this one. Last one, I'll be done, I promise. I warned you that they were going to be lame. I warned you. Got a peanut gallery over there. I like it. The statistics on sanity is that 1 of every 4 persons is suffering from some sort of mental illness. Think of your 3 best friends. If they're okay, then we may need to get you some help. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
As always, Perry. Appreciate the preparation you put into that. Adam Jordan's coming up now. He's a board member this year. He's going to talk to you a little bit about something our club is facing. You all heard Debbie McDonald make the announcement that she's retiring in October. And so there's a lot of administrative services that we're going to have to figure out how to account for. And anyway, the club's going through an RFP process, and I've invited Adam to tell you a little bit about that.
Thank you, Stephen. The year was 1986. Ronald Reagan was president. Lionel Richie was a popular musician. Hands Across America was held. Do you remember Hands Across America?
Yeah.
The Cosby Show ruled television. Stephen Creech wasn't even born yet. And Debbie McDonald started her service with the Columbia Rotary Club. Fast forward to 2019. Ronald Reagan is sorely missed. Bill Cosby is not. I have no idea where Lionel Richie is. Has anybody seen Lionel Richie? All right, so he's in Branson, Missouri somewhere. Stephen Creech is the president of our club and doing a wonderful job. And Debbie McDonald is retiring at the end of this year. So we're going to have a lot more to say about Debbie's tenure over the next few months. But I wanted to give you an update on our transition plan. With the help of the young and talented Dr. Rebecca Gilloxon, is Rebecca here? All right, well, tell her I said she's young and talented. We have issued an RFP for Association Management Services. What we're going to do is consider what an outsourced solution looks like for our club. We expect to receive responses at the end of this month, so end of February. And the board ultimately will look at those responses and decide what the right solution is for this club. We expect to have a more detailed plan in place by May, and the hope is that we have a long transition period. But I'm going to say today, and I'm going to say it a few more times, please be patient with us. Debbie has served us well for 33 years. That's a lot of institutional memory. There will be bumps in the road. There will be hiccups. But I think that we are looking to provide a solution in the long term that can enhance the overall Rotary Club experience for everyone. So be patient with us. If you have questions in the meantime, please stop me or stop Rebecca, and we'll be glad to help. Thanks.
Thank you, Adam. That's a tall task, and I appreciate your leadership on that and also your service on the board. I'm going to talk to you guys today a little bit about the Bocce Bash, because we talked about it from the podium a couple of times, and I think I've got a little bit of time. I'm going to provide some frequently asked questions that I've been hearing to inform you, our membership, because when you're really close to something, you kind of, sometimes assume everybody knows the same thing, and I realize that's not the case. So the first question, what is the Bocce Bash? The Bocce Bash is our club's fundraiser this year, and it is different than our past club fundraiser, which was the golf tournament. The golf tournament had really run its course. Participation was dwindling, and the funds that it was generating were not very much either. Bocce is a game in which you throw a ball. The tournament is going to be on April the 27th at Segra Park, which is the formerly known as Spirit Communications Park. That's where the Fireflies play baseball. How many of you have ever set foot in the field at Spirit Communications Park, the field itself? Have you touched the field? Okay, yeah, so that's what I thought. A lot of us have been there, and a lot of us have wanted to be on the field, but we've never had the chance. So this tournament is going to provide the opportunity to do that. Question 4, if you've never played bocce before, don't worry. When I say throw a ball, literally all you have to have is a single functioning arm to throw in your hand. And your other hand, you can be holding a drink, you can be holding a kid, you can basically do whatever you want. So how can you get involved? I know we've been talking about it. I may not be pitching it really well. This link right here is in all of our newsletters. It's been in the newsletters for several months now. So go to that link, and it will take you to our website to talk about how you can sponsor the tournament, how you can play in the tournament, or how you can volunteer in the tournament. So all of this information I'm about to share with you, you can find there. And Cynthia, if you wouldn't mind going to the website just so we can talk a little bit about this. So question number 5 is, what are the different sponsorship levels? If you go to the website, you'll see we have a title sponsor available for $10,000. We have a hospitality tent sponsor for $5,000. That has actually been taken, which is fantastic. We have 3 lunch sponsors remaining at $2,500. And then we have court sponsorships available for $1,000. The website will tell you what they include, but if you sponsor, you also get the benefit of one or multiple teams, as well as all the publicity that comes along with it. But I encourage you to go to that link so that you can read more about it. Question number 7. Are we really going to raise any money doing this? That's a great question, and I've heard somebody ask that. We have already raised enough money to more than cover the cost of the tournament. In fact, we have $14,000 in hand and another $3,000 committed already. So we're doing pretty good. host teams. So I want to tell you a little bit about that too. You can participate as a team for $400, $100 a person. If you would like to play in the tournament and you're not on a team, you can also go to that website and sign up, pay $100, and you're in. With that, you'll get a t-shirt, you'll get unlimited beer all day, you'll get lunch. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a tournament where we're drawing on the community to pitch in. Where does the money go? I'm sorry, I missed that one. That's an important one. Question number 8. So you see that the logo says the Special Olympics of South Carolina Bocce Bash. And they have a tremendous brand, and they have a ton of community support. But we are actually sharing in the proceeds of the Bocce Bash with the Special Olympics. So 60 cents of every dollar will go to them, 40 cents of every dollar will go to us. That's a fair deal for our club, and certainly something I'm very excited about. Question number 10, is this a tournament? Are there rules? Yes, there are actually going to be judges. There are going to be courts drawn off. This is not like bocce on the beach, which is usually how I play bocce ball, where it's just kind of, you're throwing into the sand dunes 1 second and by the surf the next. So this is official. Do you need to bring anything? Question 11, no. We will have all the bocce balls, and they'll all be the same size, and regulation size bocce balls, so don't worry about bringing your own. You just have to show up with a smile on your face. How long will it last? So we're kicking off that morning around 9 o'clock. We'll gather and kind of go through the ceremonial introductions. We'll start playing around 9:30. Most of you will be done by 1 o'clock, just after lunch, because you will be eliminated in the tournament. But if you are good at bocce ball, like Jeff Lawler tells me he is, or I won the tournament in Charleston one time, you'll be playing on into the afternoon. So, so just block the better part of your day, but for the most part, you won't be there too long. And the volunteer opportunities, these are important. We will need members of our club who do not want to play to be court judges, to help with check-in, handing out t-shirts, managing the brackets, set up, clean up, and there'll be volunteers as well from the Special Olympics. So there's certainly opportunities for you to lend a hand. Question number 14, what if it rains? That's an important question. We have a rain date. It's April the 28th. The tournament is on April the 27th. That's a Saturday. If it rains, we're going to have it on the 28th. So it was very good to work with the Fireflies on that, and to have that whole weekend help for us is important. Will I have fun? All right, so we've got good people that we know are going to be there. The scenery is going to be great. They're going to be in the outfield. There's going to be beer. There's going to be music. There's going to be a good cause. So yes, you'll definitely have fun, leaving the only unanswered question for you to ask yourself, will you need to Uber home? That is up to you. So thank you for your support. I am happy to answer any questions. Blake Buchanan is chairing this committee for us this year. It's very important, so you can see me or Blake after the meeting. And the bocce committee is actually meeting right after the meeting today, so thank you. 2 other announcements from me, and then I'm going to turn it over to our program. Last week, we did a collection for the children of Allen Benedict Court. And I sent an email out late the Friday before asking for snacks and drinks and toiletries to be donated to those kids who've been displaced from the gas leak. And when I walked outside, I was blown away. My truck was completely full. The entire tailgate and the bed of the truck, excuse me, was completely full. Randolph Shives was collecting money. He walked out of here with $425 and then went to buy more supplies and deliver it to these children who were over at the Cecil Tillis building. So the support has been overwhelming, and today I'm also collecting items. My truck is parked outside again, so if you missed last week and you want to, if you have anything physical you'd like for me to donate, please bring it. But I just want to thank you all and give us all a round of applause for that. And lastly, Wednesday night last week was the 30th anniversary of the Lake Murray Irmo Rotary Club, and there were several of us there. I had a nice time. I just wanted to thank Carrie Powers and Reese Williams and Judge Joe for being there. We had a good turnout, and Ann Matthews spoke. The district governor was there, so it was a nice time. So thank you for your support of that as well. And now I would like to introduce Dot Ryle, who's going to introduce our speaker today.
Hi everybody. everybody. It is my privilege to have the opportunity today to introduce a sweet friend, a native South Carolinian, which I think is so special for us to have the commanding general at Fort Jackson to be a native South Carolinian. He's from Innery, and he met his wife Pam at South Carolina State when they were students. And from there on, he has been here twice, but came back this second time as the commanding general, the 51st. I don't know, Milford, are you the first native South Carolinian? The second. Who was the first?
Abe Turner.
Okay, well, we are thrilled to have a native over there in that wonderful seat representing the military. How proud we are of our military and all of those that are sitting out here, your guests that came with you today, and all of you that have served in the military. First of all, I think somebody said, why is Dot introducing a general? I am a general. Well, sometimes it's not funny when I'm called that. But anyway, today I accept it, and thank you for that. Harris Vestidi says I work for him, and I was glad he had realized that early on. And Harris had planned to come today. It was his desire to come and introduce his wonderful friend, Milford Beagle from Innery, and his wife Pamela from Blackville, South Carolina. They have two sons. One is a lieutenant in the armed forces, and the other is a sophomore at South Carolina State. I wanted to tell Milford a quick little story for the fact that I have had a lot of involvement with Fort Jackson. And it goes back from Marvin Chernoff, we brought the little Raiders here, and then it went on to many, many things since then. And then the greatest was working with the Congressional Medal of Honor Association, where for 4 years I got to know those people personally. And then on to the first flight for Honor Flight, and I helped raise the money for that. But to go back a few years, it was interesting because last week I was asked to come over and do a film on the Cobra Center, 30th anniversary. Can you believe 30 years ago we opened the Cobra Center? And shortly after then, I looked over at Fort Jackson, and that 282nd Army Band was so fabulous. And I thought they need to be part of us. So George Krause was the commanding general, and I said, I'd like to bring your museum and your 282nd Army Band into the arts. He said, well, God, I think that's a great idea. Long story short, we did. Jack Huck was chairman at the time of the Arts Council, and we put them on stage at the Cobra Center. What I didn't realize was they had not played a venue like the Cobra Center. The commander's name was John Darling, and he was a darling. And he was so excited. We had a full house, and they were fabulous. So we repeated that for several years, but the next year, of course, Commander Darling had moved on. We had a new commander. And right before the concert, over the loudspeaker, they said, Dot Royal, you have a phone call in the office. I go to the office. Listen to this. Dot, it's John Darling. I'm calling from Korea. I know you've got my band on stage tonight. That was one of the greatest nights of my life. And I had to call you tonight and tell you to tell my band to break a leg. Can you imagine how wonderful? So I do have an association with the military, and it's my proud honor to. But I also have a special person who's helping with this introduction today. And so we will have Harris Vestidi on a video to tell you a little bit about the partnership he has with this wonderful gentleman.
I don't think that's the same video you have me playing. It is.
Well, General Milford Beagle, better known as
see you.
Great to be here.
Shall we go for a mini conversation?
Absolutely.
Let's go. So, Joe, have you ever been in a Mini before?
I have not. This is my first time in a Mini.
Partly Corvette, partly Humvee. You are a native South Carolinian. And how does it feel to be asked to come home and lead this incredible and important facility?
You get the best of all worlds. You get to come home, you get to serve in your state. And fortunately for me, this is a second time at Fort Jackson. So I've commanded here before, but then to command the entire installation in your home state, it doesn't get any better than that.
So tell me about the typical cycle of recruits coming in.
It's a 10-week cycle. When they come in, most will come in through Columbia Airport. Some will come in by bus. They come in at night, so we get them here in our reception center. And when you see them, and I've seen them coming in on the plane, I've been on the plane with some, and I've just sat there and listened to them talk, and some of the anxieties and the stress, and they all talk amongst each other. And I never said a word. They get here on the ground, and you can see a bit of the anxiety start to build up because there's a drill sergeant in the airport.
Oh, I've been there.
That meets
Columbia Metro.
He meets them, gets them in, and we get them on the bus and bring them over here at night, so they can't really see, kind of where they're going, so you can just increase that level of anxiety. And what you see at that point, you think there's no way we're going to transform this civilian volunteer into a soldier because of the hair and the attitudes and just body language, you name it. And 10 weeks later, we go to Hilton Field here on Fort Jackson, and they graduate, and you see this complete transformation. I mean, from discipline to manners to just how they stand. A little bit taller.
Is this the largest or the second largest basic training installation in the country?
It is the largest in the country.
Largest, wow.
Largest in the country. 50% of our male trainees that come from the Army come to Fort Jackson. 60% of the female trainees or soldiers that come in the Army come through Fort Jackson. So Fort Jackson, right here in the middle, is the Army's pipeline.
Just thinking of how many of America's heroes started here, it's bone-chilling to think of it.
Right.
It really is.
You remember Leonard Nimoy?
I do, yes, Mr. Spock.
He came with basic training here at Fort Jackson.
Oh my gosh. He got a different haircut on. I know that you have written a book on leadership. I think it's called Rock.
The Rock.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, The Rock was never supposed to be. I had no desire, no aspirations to write a book. And after my battalion command experience, which a battalion is about 1,200 soldiers, and a lot of the soldiers and leaders of that formation kept telling me, sir, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. I said, I have no desire to write a book. The reason why they wanted me to was just the experience we had as a team. And it was very transformational in terms of getting an organization of that size to elevate, to perform well, perform consistently, and be very effective. But at the very beginning, it wasn't that way. And all the leadership tricks I could muster, leverage, remember from the past, I pulled all those together. And at the end of the day, it was a phenomenal result. And what they're really asking me to do is put that recipe in a book. And that's essentially all it is all the tools I can muster to leverage and get an organization to go from a low point to a very, very high point.
It's the same with a commanding officer or a university president.
Absolutely.
You can't stay hunkered down in your office or in your victory tower and expect to bark out orders. It's going to work that way. You may get some obedience, but at the time of severe importance, you may turn around and people may not be there.
One of the Army sayings is follow me. You want to make sure you say follow me, you look back and you got others behind you.
Indeed. I know that you welcome some of our student athletes here at the fort.
But what they leverage the most is the obstacle courses, and you don't think you gain a lot out of just going through an obstacle course, but it will tell you volumes about a person's character, watching them go through the obstacle course.
And when a coach is wanting to put some player in the fourth quarter and they are tired, you can't have tired.
We call it tiny heart. You cannot have a tiny heart. You've got to have a big heart in everything that you do because somebody's banking on you to get tired. And as we talk about our threats and our enemies, no matter how hard we work, you always got to imagine somebody's out there working harder than you.
I had a 64-year-old guy who fancies himself in pretty good shape, his knee acts up once in a while. How would I do with basic training?
I think you do pretty well. A lot of it's going to be mental, and so mind over matter. If your mind don't matter, then you're going to get through it. A little bit of a surprise, but you do get some insights into everything we just talked about.
We're going to have a bite at the commissary?
No, not quite.
Say it again, man, and that's a reverse. That never rehearse. Jump in it first. Call up the nurse with the beat in her hearse. This is absurd. Take a berserk. Don't get on the tracks with a name and a swerve. Don't got a nerve, man. I never burst. Just casting these mouths when I'm spelling these words. That's too real. I was better than the new deal. Trying to figure out what I should do still. Ain't never waiting here too still. I don't even know what I should say at all. Should I jump on it? Should I get involved? Guys around me, they love to talk. Gotta take it all and embrace it all. Just what I'm doing, they never see through it. And all of this rap that I see that they ruin. I came in the game and I'm trying to undo it. And still they all say they don't know if to shoot it. I gotta see through it. They won't be deluded with all these illusions. I know it's disputed. I gotta keep going. They see what my root is. I tell you I'm on this. I'm going with this. They trying to get what I've been giving out. Do it for the tickets. I don't listen to the critics. I'ma push it to the limit. And it's always getting timid. I've been balling like a pivot. Now I'm stepping to the scrimmage. I just play it when I'm in it. Trying to run it to the ribbon. And they know that I've been driven when I'm in. See the bishop and I put them in and press them to the balls that I've been spinning. And it's like that I've been living. I'm a go on a mission.
I don't know if I'm Army strong, but I'm Army respectful. The thing about being older is you've got a lot of experience, and that does not work in your favor. But you were such a good teacher and instructor, along with your other fine men here, because I had to really let go, or I was not going to go anywhere. And that was not a happy place to be for a long time.
You almost made me blush. That was pretty awesome. Dr. Bastides was great. Let me tell you, he was really great. The only thing he asked me was about the stairs. I said, there's a funny thing about the stairs at Fort Jackson. They're one way. So you go up, but you're coming down on the road. Otherwise, you're not coming down. But thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here today. This is absolutely a great venue, and to be home in your own state, as you've heard many times before, just makes your heart smile. Makes my heart smile every single day to be back here in command, our Fort Jackson. And you'll notice I'll leverage those words quite a bit today. It's not mine, it's ours. It is all ours, and we have a lot to be proud of. So my beautiful bride Pam and my team that's here as well. The one thing I've got to clarify, so once you're promoted to general officer, you get this little staff crew around you, just to make sure you're at the right place, the right time, in the right uniform, with the right information. So all of those, that's what they do. That's what they do to make sure I get to the right place at the right time with the right information. The only thing I have to do is show up with the right attitude. And it's for events like these and for the young men and women that you see at Fort Jackson, that's all I have to have every single day is the right attitude. Everybody else takes care of the rest for me, and it's truly an honor to do that. One thing I'm going to do, and I'll make this very brief, because I want to leave a little bit of time at the end for questions and answers, if you have them, is to illuminate some of the things that you may not know about Fort Jackson, and then highlight some of the things that you may know. Some of you heard on the video here today, but I promise you I will adhere to the 3 S's of public speaking. You keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it simple. The other part of that is you have to tell the audience, tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them, and at the very end, tell them what you told them. So up front, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how great Fort Jackson is. How great your Fort Jackson is. I will tell you how great your Army is and what actually happens here in the Midlands. It is phenomenal. So when we talk about Fort Jackson being the largest basic training facility or installation in our country, it truly is. The production that we have through Fort Jackson is larger than 3 other basic training posts combined. So when you combine Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Fort Leonard, Missouri, we do more than those 3 combined. We graduate over 1,200 in the high months soldiers a week. We do that 46 out of 52 weeks a year. So if you come on Fort Jackson Wednesday, Thursday, you're going to see a graduation, and you're going to see about 1,000 soldiers every single week. And there's about a 2-week break that we take at Christmas, and then we start all over again, but that happens week after week, and that's more than 3 other installations combined. The first call I got let me know that I was coming here was from a 4-star general, and Doc, you were at the level of 4-star, just to let you know that. So I wasn't invited to come here, I was directed by Doc. And so notice I wear 1, she has 4, and we call that the rule of the Potomac. 4 beats 3 beats 2 beats 1, and that's how it works. So it's not an ask, it's a direction, and you know how Doc, she will poke that finger right here and says, you're going to come speak to my Rotary. Yes, ma'am, I am. Let me know when you want me there, but this is absolutely great. But we train more than those 3 installations combined, day in and day out. And I'll show you some facts here briefly. But the biggest thing to me, in terms of my reach and getting out, one of my priorities is command outreach, and this is one of my priorities, to be here with you today. I'll be in Charleston tomorrow, because it is heartbreaking when you go to certain parts of the state and they don't realize the gem that we have right here in the Midlands. I grew up in Spartanburg County, and I had a conversation as I go up to visit my mom and dad. I had a conversation with the lady at the hospital, and I had a Fort Jackson shirt on. And we talked for about 20 minutes. And she finally looks at my shirt and she says, Fort Jackson, where is that? Oh my goodness, my heart was broke. And then Pam and I went to Hilton Head a few weeks back, and I was out attempting to play golf. Most folks ask you, do you play golf? I said, well, I try to. And a gentleman was watching me, and he comes up and he said, do you mind if I give you some tips? I said, no sir, I don't mind at all. I get that quite frequently. And we have a conversation, and he says, what do you do? And I tell him, you don't start off with you're the general. You get kind of crazy reactions. I'm a soldier, grew up in South Carolina, I work at Fort Jackson. And he said, okay, Fort Jackson. And he said, I've lived in Hilton Head for 40 years and never heard of it. Wow, okay. So part of my role is to educate, because again, the Army comes through Fort Jackson. And to go back to my point, the first call that I got, a 4-star general said, he said, remember this, the Army goes however Fort Jackson goes. And you think about that. 50% of the male recruits, over 50%, come through here. 60% of the female recruits that join the Army come through here. If we stopped doing what we did at Fort Jackson for 30 days, our Army would come to a grinding halt. That is the Army's pipeline. We inject up to 50,000 soldiers into the Army every year. Every single year, more than 3 other installations combined. That is a lot. That is a lot to be proud of from our state, from right here in the Midlands. As you can see on the lead slide, we make a very unique contribution to our national security every single week, right here. And that is one thing for everybody across our state to know and be very proud of. You have posts in other states, Fort Bragg, they're power projection. That's what they do. That's what they're known for. They go anywhere, anytime, any place, within 48 hours. What our main contribution is to our national security is the thousands of soldiers that we produce week in and week out for our great nation. So with that, I'll go to, got it. But here's how we're viewed. We're viewed as great little men and women, which is one thing. Our military, we call it, and you can look it up if you Google the gap between our civilian and our military, the public that we serve. But here's the news. We serve our American public. Our profession is based on trust. Between who? Between us and all of you. That's what we take an oath to. We take an oath to that flag, which represents our Constitution, which is a set of ideas and ideals. There are 190 other countries out there that take an oath to a president, a dictator, a potentate, you name it. Our oath is to our Constitution and to our American people. And so we continually have to work to close that gap because we serve you. We can never break that bond of trust that we have with our American public. And Joe Milley, our Chief of Staff of the Army, said it this way. He said, our young men and women, our nation's most precious resource is our sons and daughters. And what they do is they write a blank check payable to the American public with their lives. That's what they do. So if you were to come to Fort Jackson, you will see 1,000 every single week that write that blank check payable to the American public with their lives to defend a set of ideas ideals. It's our country. So our country has to know what we do. But a lot of times we look at, there's little green men and women, we know they do something, they protect us, we love them to death, they're cute and cuddly like the little Martian up here, but we're yours. We're cute and cuddly little green men and women. And sometimes even when you come to the post, I've been asked many, many times, can we get on the post? You absolutely can. It's your post. You need to know what happens inside that gate. You need to come and see it. We have tours every quarter called Come See Your Army. Notice the title of that. Come See Your Army, not mine. Come see yours. This last tour was the most we've ever had, I think, in several years. Typically, we average about 40 to 45. This past couple of weeks, we had 350, and I want that to be more. So tell your friends, please visit our websites so you can get signed up to come and see what your Army does. But you'll see the signs outside of the gate. It kind of looks like Area 51. You can't get in, but you can come in. If you have to, tell them Joe Beagle invited you, because he wants me to come see my Army. That's exactly what I want you to come do. Just some quick key facts that are up here. We talked about the 50%, over 50%, 60% that come in. You look at what we inject into the local economy, $2.4 billion per year into the local economy. But that comes from the visitors that come here to Columbia. So they have a touch from across our 50 states and territories and other places to come to those graduations. Every single week, there's about 4,000 to 5,000 families that come here to see a graduation every single week that come here. That's where a lot of that comes from. Over the course of a year, 250,000 total, if not more, that come here to see Columbia, to see our great state of South Carolina, so everybody gets a touch to make an impression on more than just those soldiers, but the families from across our great nation. If we were looked at as a city, we'd be the third largest city in South Carolina. So essentially, I'd be the mayor of the third largest city in South Carolina, which is actually pretty cool. But we have a different mission than the mayor. But we'd be the third largest, just based on size, 52,000 acres of training area and facilities. And all the retirees that are here. So one of the things that I do when I go out is advocate for the retirees that we have. We have a lot of talent that transitions out every single month from Fort Jackson. And where we love more than anything to keep them would be right here in our own state. We have leaders from private all the way up to my level that have PhDs, they have doctorates. Even some of the trainees that come in, you would be amazed. Your Army is very, very smart. There was something that came out several months ago about, well, anyone that joins any of our militaries, their academic qualities are very low, so they have to join the military. You'd be quite amazed to know that many of our young soldiers that come in to this day, they have associate's degrees, they have bachelor's degrees, they have master's degrees. I met one the other weekend, a little private, and you can tell by certain ranks that they wear. And I said, where'd you go to college? He said, sir, Arizona State. I said, what did you major in? He said, I have a law degree. Awesome. And all he wanted to do was serve. Not go be a lawyer, he wanted to serve his country. So they will put those things aside. And we think of those things only happening in World War I, World War II. Those are the same type kids that we have today that are joining to serve our great nation. And then at the bottom, 70% of the folks that we have at Fort Jackson live off the installation, so they live in your communities. Get to know them, get to interact with them, because again, we rely on our community more than anything to help us succeed, to help us accomplish our mission, and you all are a great part of that. And so we appreciate you, and we appreciate what our community does. And a lot of times we're thanked for our service, and for the longest time it took me quite a while to figure out what is the proper response to that when somebody comes to this. Thank you for your service. But now my response is pretty easy. After you really think about it deeply, you just simply say, you're worth it. You're worth it. So for me to write that blank check, you're all worth it in the room. If you ask a soldier, they may not have those same words, but you're worth it. That's why we raise our right hand, to take that oath, because you're worth it. Our country is worth it. And we have the greatest country in the nation. So I would say, don't stop thanking soldiers. Please do that. But what they should respond with is you're worth it. Next. I'm saying next, and I got the thing in my hand. That's what happens when you get a supporting cast. They normally do that for me, so now I'm on my own. I don't know what to do with my hand. Right? But very quickly, to walk you through what happens in that 10 weeks of basic training. Very easy to remember. If you forget everything else that I said today, the 10 weeks of basic training is broken down into 3 colors: red, white, and blue. 3 weeks apiece, and there's 1 week for graduation. The very first week is when they come in as a volunteer civilian, as we call it, and we transformed them into a soldier in 10 weeks. And it is amazing to see that transformation. The first week is all about compliance. And as we talked about, you'll see them in Columbia Airport. If you go through, you can identify them if you're coming in or leaving Columbia Airport. And here's a few clues. They got hair that's like all over their heads, all kind of clothes, look like a garage sale gone bad. Mannerisms may not be great, but they're gonna have a big manila folder in their hand. You're going to Fort Jackson, absolutely. And some try to scurry away from the drill sergeant that's waiting for them. They'll see the big brown round hat or the other version of the hat that our female drill sergeants wear, and they're trying to it's almost like not reporting to the principal's office. They try to get away. But they corral them all in. And then that first week is all about that discipline. They learn how to wake up very early in the morning. They learn how to get along with 60 of their closest friends, or who will soon be their closest friends for 10 weeks. All those type of things. They learn how to be a part of a team. They put their electronic devices down. They no longer get to talk with their thumbs. Now they got to use other type of communication skills. And then that second week in the white phase, within 4 weeks, some of these kids have never touched a weapon ever in their life. But they're firing weapons, and they learn how to fire them very well for survival. And then the final week, our blue phase, the final phase is where they put all those skills together. And we simply turn it, they learn how to shoot, move, communicate, and survive. Anywhere they go, any battlefield that they may find themselves on. Because one thing that you will expect from us, you're not going to ask if we're ready. We're never going to be asked, any service, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, if we're ready. It's going to be expected. And that's what we do. So when they leave in 10 weeks, you don't have to ask, are you ready? You expect that they are. And that's what our job is day in and day out. The very final part of that exercise, though, is 81 hours. So they go 81 hours, they walk up to 45 miles during that 81-hour period. So when they come in, they're tired, hungry, wet, you name it, and they feel very proud. Now they're committed. So we go from compliance to commitment. And what is the commitment to? The commitment is to that flag. The commitment is to you. And that's what we get them through in 10 weeks. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So here are the keys right here. You can take this slide with you. And we also have something else that my aide has, our first call, which is just kind of a quick little summary of a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that we're focused on at Fort Jackson. We'll leave those copies up here for you. And I won't go through everything that's up here, but I talked about, what we do at Fort Jackson, where my priorities are. Part of my priorities in my focus area, when you look at the Midlands, so regardless of what you do, when any military family looks to move to a different location, the first thing they're going to do, just like all of us, they're going to go to Google and they're going to start searching. And what are they searching for? What is the education like? What is my spouse employment opportunities once I get there? And what is the healthcare like? That also tells you how many are going to be inclined to stay there, even if they retire in that local area. What are those things like? So our focus, I know Dr. Rames here in the corner, a lot of focus with the chamber, Ms. Henry, all those folks, because again, we're all partners, and we all have to understand, what that means to our state, and then what that means for our national security. So connecting those dots day in and day out is a big part of what I do. The training is the fun part, and this is even better, to get to do all of those. So I am truly happy every single day when I get up, and many of you that live close to the post, and I hear, I can hear the sounds of soldiers and reveille and retreat and gunfire, and we all get to hear that sound of freedom every single day, and that's exactly what it is. So I'm very excited whenever I get to do that. And that's the last slide that I have for you. So I've got about 2 minutes left. There's tons of more things that I can lay out and tell you, and would love to share. And my excitement for what I do, my excitement for those that come here to South Carolina, to Fort Jackson, and those that we train it's infinite. It really is. We could talk to you all day. But I'll stop there just in case there are any questions. Yes, sir.
Carol, first of all, we're just honored to have you here today. As someone who grew up, I've been 60 years, right at 60 years, right across the fence. Used to be Long Street, now it's 77. And I go to wake up to reveille and go to bed to taps every night, and it's the sound of freedom. We've had people complain it, I said turn the volume up, because it reminds us of what the commitment y'all are making, and we're just so proud of y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything the state can do to keep the Army happy with South Carolina? For example, Governor McMaster's called for exempting retirement pay from state taxation.
Things like that will help. So if you listen to the governor's State of the State address, he hit all of them. And that's exactly what you want to do. You look at other states that have a military installation, is how much you embrace that installation. Some states, quite honestly, don't have one. And there's a mutual benefit all the way around. So when he talks about the education, the retirement, those type things. The retirement piece, the simple part of it, it allows you to keep that talent within the state. You don't let that talent go elsewhere, because what other states will do is they'll poach because they know, where that veteran pool of talent is, and they will come in and take it away from you. But we have a lot here to leverage. So I think everything, and I've had office calls with the governor, is spot on. And so you just need to embrace, the gym that we have here. But one, you got to understand it. And so therefore, as I started, just come see our Army, come get to see the great things that your taxpayer dollars then help for us to benefit from. Yes, sir.
Do you think we should institute the draft, or are you happy with the volunteers?
I think our volunteer force is absolutely fine. Those that come in, and you see it from all walks of life, we are totally okay. I'm going to get the hook in a second from Steve. So Steve, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's an honor for our club to have you. I think Elliot said it best. I live near the fort as well and love to hear the horns. This is a small token of appreciation for you coming today. Next week, our speaker is Dan Weekly from Dominion Energy, and we will stand in closing song.